Hi, I'm Dumai, and it's almost getting dark here where I am. I live in Ho Chi Minh, and today's my day off. I'm a teacher, and I love my job. I love spending time with kids, and I found the purpose of my life in teaching. I'm actually a Filipino, and when I was in the Philippines, I was working as a journalist and also trying to make it as an artist. But I have to leave the country for some reasons of safety. Um, Part of it is, yes, political because of the nature of the job, and also because I wanted to save some money. So I came here in 2019, particularly in Hanoi. That's where I lived for 3.5 years. I had a really short training in teaching, and that did not suffice for the havoc that I would experience in every classroom. Um, the nature of teaching in Vietnam is that there are schools for tutoring, and that's where I got in. They're called language centers. So kids would come after their regular classes and study English with us. And my lack of training is one of the things that contributed to a lot of changes in my emotional landscape. Yeah, if you don't have training with teaching like me, you could imagine how hard it would be to uh, manage kids in class, different age ranges, kindergarten, primary, and teens. They all have emotional needs that you need to meet, and I didn't have the training back then, so it was an emotional roller coaster for me. I would have kids running around in kindergarten and in primary, kids trying to assert themselves, and then teens who are trying to find their identity, insecure, and they'll project it toward you, especially if they know that you're not confident as a teacher. And so I was forced to find ways to deal with these attitudes. I went into a lot of Gabor Mate podcasts, understanding child psychology, development psychology. And in the process, I had to look back at my own childhood. I'd say that most of my childhood was very, say, happy. It's a happy childhood because I lived in a small village. I'd go to the river on the weekends. I'd even escape classes. I'd go to the hill and help out with my aunties and grandma to plant corn, peanuts. Sometimes I go and harvest rice with them. I actually still have a cut in my finger. It's a mark of my industry in rice harvesting. It was really fun, except that I had a very angry father. He used corporal punishment to discipline us, and I had six siblings. So I was the second, and I'd say the most sensitive and the most wicked, probably. Yeah, I experienced a lot from my father, from beating, hitting. It's a small village, and we still didn't have the child protection department of our country back then. It was just normal, and anyway, we were surrounded by relatives and elders. It was their way to discipline us. It was his father's way to discipline them as well. I don't hold any grudge about it. But I know by now, of course, if I kept kids and in presence of kids, I wouldn't do the kind of punishment that he did to me because I know of the effects. So that caused a lot of, say, emotional trauma in me, that got triggered while I was teaching. So I had to look back to that, and I had to heal myself from those. I realized that when you tell off a child, they could be resentful, or they would tend not to trust you when you admonish them. That doesn't mean that you tolerate them. There are ways, I've learned ways to manage kids' behavior. But yeah, I think that when you're surrounded by kids, it's a good way to face yourself because they can be very triggering. And if you are ever with kids and you find yourself uncomfortable in their presence, or you're easily emotionally triggered by their lack of disorder, by their lack of order, and you find them disrespectful, and then you react negatively with anger, that's a good sign that there's something in your childhood that you need to go back to. And that's what teaching has done to me. I had to look back on how I was brought up, and it brought me to examine my attachment styles and look for ways to make myself more secure. To this day, I could say that I'm more graceful when I see kids misbehaving. I have more information about it, and that it's not always about me. It's usually because they're growing up and it's part of their development, especially for those in the ages of 6 to 10, when they like to move around, or when they are teens and they finding their identity. What I learned so far is it's important to build trust, and that you are an authority that they can model. And when you set up a consequence or a boundary to them, they trust that that's something that's good for them. See, if you get angry and you retaliate, kids are very sensitive and they could sense that you're losing control. And when they know that you're not in control, they would lose respect for you. They want someone who can guide them. They want someone who they can look up to, which, come to think of it, it's something that I was looking for when I was younger as well. I'd want someone to respect, to guide me, to show me how things are done, and not someone to, admonish me when I do something wrong. So, yeah, trust is very important to build. And you can only build that when you also listen to their needs and when we respect where they are. There's lots of ephemera flying around because my door is open. So I don't really know how to have them go out from my room. So, yeah, I hope you have a good night and I'll talk to you later.